right, starting with introduction. I'm Jamil. I'm head of product and Proxys here at BetaWorks. Have been working here for almost 10 years now. So a long time. I started as a project manager. Then I moved into the lead customer success team leads. Then I started working more closely to our tech team and the product itself. And today I'm responsible for both. I'm responsible for our product aspects or our platform, also responsible for managing different teams, such as our customer success team, that's led by Giovanna, and also our testing and implementation team. Yeah, so that's me. I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil, by the way. I know that most of you guys already know me, but we always have new people in here, so it's always good to introduce myself again. All right, so let me start sharing my screen so you can go to our agenda for today. So this webinar, again, the format of this webinar is more like a training session. So if you guys have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to send in the chat your questions you have. I will do my best to respond all the questions that you guys send to me. So in this session, we'll cover specifically the initial account setup. What that means is basically how you create your account in BWX, how you create and manage your translation memory, glossaries, or term bases, organization units, creating users, and then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. This document here, this presentation, will be shared with you as well after the session. I will be adding this session recording link in here for you, so you can watch the session again or share with other people that may be interested. And yeah, so let's start with the BWX account creation. So it's pretty straightforward, the process. So you go to our website, so betaworks.com. From there, you can either click on Get Started or Start for Free. There are some other buttons in the website that you can click on that will redirect you to this pricing page of our website. Then you have a month or yearly option. You have the main difference between those options in here. You can have a look. The main difference, so starting with difference in terms of users, the first one, personal, it's $9 per month. So you can have up to 9 users. It's mostly, as mentioned here, for individuals, like a translator or a small team of translator or small translation agency. Then we have the second option as $8 per month. So this will be either for enterprise clients or for translators that have a larger team, or even for a translation agency. And then the enterprise, that's for big companies with 300 plus users, all right? So again, the main difference are also highlighted here down below. I'm going to click on this first one, the personal. All right, so the two main things here is that before starting billing you, so you have 14 days free, and you don't need to enter your credit card information at this point. So you can start your free trial without any billing information available. You just have to enter your email and your name in here to start your trial. Then once you have access to our platform during the trial period, you have an option if you are interested in continue using the platform after the trial. You can then enter your credit card information or select other payment method from there. But at this point here, you don't need to enter any information, personal information, other than email and name, all right? I'm not going to create an account, but basically once you click on this start trial, you're going to receive an email, so you can set up your password, and then from there you can access our platform. By the way, the platform is, the link for the platform is app.bwx.io. But in today's session, I'll be showing you the platform in our demo environment. Okay, so it's the same platform. It's just a testing environment we have, so we don't make changes to our production and environment. But just so you know, this here would be our actual production platform. This is where your account will be created. Okay, but just for the sake of the session, I mean, impersonating the user in the demo environment. All right, so this was the first item, the topic. Any questions so far before I move on into the translation memory creation? Please feel free to send in the chat. All right, so let me start talking about translation memory creation. So you have this option here, this tab, where you can click on translation memories. I already have 2 translation memories previously created. Excuse me. So then I will cover some different use cases in here, right? Because you can be a translator, you can be a part of a translation agency, you can be an enterprise client. Each scenario, each use case, you have different use for translation memory. So for instance, if you are a translator and we work with multiple clients, you may want to have multiple translation memories. So one translation memory for each client because they have their specific content and you don't want to mix up content of different clients in the same translation memory. So that's one option. If you are, for instance, an enterprise client, so the translation memory is yours. So for all the projects and the content is yours as well. So you may just want to have just one translation memory for your projects. All right. So it really depends on the use case. You can have multiple translation memory, that's fine. You can have just one translation memory, depending on the case, that's fine as well. All right. So let me open one of those translation memories. There is not a lot of content in this translation memory. Again, it's just a demo environment, this. Just 15 segments. I can just search to see what we have currently in the translation memory. So we have just a few segments in here in English and Spanish, and also some in German, Portuguese, and that's pretty much it. So from here, let's say that when we create for you your accounts, you're going to have created automatically a translation memory and a turn base. So you can either use those translation memory and turn base and just upload your content to them. By the way, they will be created, but they will be empty. Okay, so there will be nothing available when we create for you. It's just to make your life easier. So if you prefer to use it, you can just go in here, for instance. Let's say that you have TMX file that we received from your clients, or you have your own TMX file. So TMX is the standard format for translation memory. Okay, so this one is a TMX file. I can just open it here, and that will trigger the upload of the content to the translation memory. So then after the completion of this upload, I can start using that, leveraging the content from this translation memory in the projects that I will be translating. All right. Also, if you have, for instance, those are the source and target languages I have. So English, US the source, we have some target languages. If at any given point you do want to add some additional targets to your translation memory, you can just edit it and add those additional target languages in here. So again, that's probably not applicable for translators only, but for translation agencies and enterprise clients, that probably makes sense to have additional languages added to the translation memories. All right. And again, then you can also search for fuzzy matches in here, or can search for full text using those options. You can also, probably as an exception, you can add specific content manually. I mentioned an exception because it's usually a lot of work to do that for multiple segments, but that's possible. So if you want to, for instance, add this sentence from English to Portuguese Brazil, manually you can do that. And then when I search in here, that sentence will be available for me at some point in here. All right, so any questions here on the translation memory creation or management? Oh, by the way, I mentioned that you can create some additional translation memories. You can do it from here, all right? So on the same window, translation memories, add TM, you can add a name. So that will be, for instance, marketing, PM, client, ABC, just an example. That will be added to this organization. Then I can select the source language, and I can select one or multiple target languages as well, and then click on create. Let me just have a look at the chat. Claudia, Jamil, how do you create different translation memory for different? Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's the answer. That's the question answering. So now to create those, you go from the translation memories. That there's a button to add a translation memory. Then you have to associate this translation memory with the organization or the organization unit of that client. I will talk about that in just a second, but for now, let me just create this, and then I will show you how we associate this translation memory for the client ABC to the right clients in the platform. All right, so creating this here. Again, it will be empty. So then from here, I can, if I have a TMX file that I either received from the clients or it's my own TMX file that I have that I use for all the projects, I can just import it here. If I don't have anything, I can start translating content, and then the content will be stored in this translation memory. All right. Now moving on into the glossary. This is pretty similar. So again, I have two glossaries. When you when you create your account in BWX, you're going to have one glossary automatically created. It will be empty. There will be no terms added to that glossary. Then you can, if you already have a TBX file, you can, that's the standard format for glossaries or term-based, you can just import that. By the way, we are adding the support to Excel files as well. So probably in the next month, we will also allow the user to upload Excel file other than TBX for translation term-based. So you can edit the term-based terms you have in the Excel and then upload that Excel into BWX. Of course, there is a format that has to be followed in order to upload correctly the Excel file, but we'll have that template available for you as well, so you can make sure that you're uploading in the right format. That's coming soon. All right, so same process, I can upload a TBX file if I have one. If I don't have, I can start adding terms manually here. So this will be the target language, then I can add a term. I have some metadata fields in here. It's case sensitive or not, exact to match, the forbidden term, conception, usage, and some other options. I'm not going to create, but you can do that manually from here again, or you can do it by importing the file. There's another option that will also be available in the coming weeks that will allow you to go into the editor, and from the editor, you can select a term in the source, and then from there, add that term into the glossary. All right, so there will be these three options. So manually from here, by importing the TBX file, or from the editor by highlighting a term in the source, adding the translation, and then that will store in the glossary you have. Any questions related to glossary, management, or term creation? Anything? No? All right. So now let's talk about this organization and organization units. I actually let one tab open here on purpose. So this one. This is just to exemplify this concept you have of account, then organization, the organization unit. Also, by the way, this is something that will also be available for account admin users. So, by the way, BWX subscribers in the next month or so. So this hierarchy view that basically allow you to see, okay, so that's the structure of my accounts, which organization and organization units I have in here. All right, that's help you to first organize the multiple clients you may have, and also to make sure that you know exactly where a given org unit was created. So using this as an example, so we have this account. The account will have your name. So let's say that I create an account in BWX, the account that will be created with Jamil, that's my name. Then I can create one or multiple organization. And finally, the organization units. Now, the most important piece here is that organization and organization units can be used in multiple ways. So let me give just a few examples. I'm a translator and I have just one client. So the clients that they created, that I previously created, the client ABC. The clients, I have the clients ABC that I work with, and they have just like one type of content that they send to me for translation. They have I just translate legal content for them. Okay, so in my opinion, probably it makes sense to just create one organization called ABC, that's your client, yeah, and one organization with the name legal, for instance. That's the type of content that you are translating for that client. Now, the same scenario, you have the client ABC, but that client have multiple type of content that you are translate for them. And also, maybe they have different translation memories and different glossaries. In this scenario, it will make sense for me to create multiple organization units. That's because they have multiple departments or type of content, and also different translation memories and glossaries per type of content. So I have client ABC's organization, marketing as one org unit, then legal as another org unit, and then financial, for instance, as a third org unit. And then I can associate the right translation memory and right glossary with each of those organizations. A third scenario, similar to this last one, they have 3 or more departments, but they just use the same translation memory and the same glossary for all of them. It's up to you to decide with your client, of course, whether it makes sense to have multiple departments or no, or we can have just one department and have all those projects being created under the same department, just because there is the same translation memory term glossary is being used for them all, right? Again, so this really depends on the use case, but it's pretty flexible on how you can organize the organization and organizational units in here. Another example, now talking about like an enterprise client, I'm a company, I work with multiple translation agencies, for instance. So I have my account, then I'm going to create one organization for one translation agency and another one for another translation agency and so on. Why? Because I don't want the organization, this one, the first one, to the people that are registered here from this translation agency to have access to the project, to the content that I'm sending or that's being translated by the second translation agency. So then I will separate by organization, so they don't have access to each other organization. That's another scenario. Now talking about, again, enterprise clients. It's just some examples I just wanted to share with you because, again, it can be pretty flexible and there's not right or wrong way to create organization and organization units. It really depends on what's the most efficient and organized way for you and for your clients to manage the projects that are being created. Okay. Any questions in here? I just want to show, now that I was talking about organization units, let me open this one. All right, translation memories. I had 2 translation memories in here. Now it's kind of related to the question from Claudia. So I have just one organization units. I have these 2 translation memories that were previously created. I created another one. So should I use this translation memory with this client as well? If the answer is yes, I can just click on add in here, and that translation memory will be associated with this organization units. If the answer is no, then I probably have to create a separate organization units, and then have this last translation memory that I created associated just with this other organization unit, because they probably belong to another client, right? So that's how we can create separate translation memories in Turn-based and make sure that only the right translation memories in Turn-based will be available for the projects for client A or client B or client C. Okay. To exemplify, let me create an organizational unit, and then I will show that in the right way. All right, glad that I answered your question, Claudia. So I have just one organization. That's how I feel that's the best way to manage my projects. So I will create this by adding select an organization where this organization belongs to a contact person for that organization unit. The name of the organization. So this is for clients ABC, for instance. Then the country, United States, currency. By the way, for now, we just have these currencies available. We'll be adding all the currencies, so all the currency support GMBWX pretty soon. So if you don't work with dollars or euros or Brazilian reais, so please keep in mind that pretty soon we're going to have support for all the other currencies as well. Let me put PST and create this organization units. All right, let me see the chat. Hi, Elvira, hope you're well. Cool, all right, now I created a specific org unit for a specific client, this client ABC. Now I have that translation memory that I created, and now I'm going to associate it with this client. All right. What's going to happen when I select this default is basically when I click on a selection as this translation memory as default, it means that, okay, so every time I create a project for these organizations, clients ABC, this translation memory will be used. It will be associated automatically with the project. All right. The same goes for the glossary. This is the same concept. But that's how I can, again, make sure that I'm just using the right translation memories with the right clients, if that makes sense. Any questions about this association? Maybe if you have any specific questions, like or even an example of your use case or something that you would like to know, please let me know and I will do my best to answer these questions. In the meantime, let me move on into the final item. That's this user creation. User creation, it's pretty simple. By the way, you can, if you prefer, that's not a right order to do these steps. You can first create and upload translation memories and glossaries, or you can first create org organization units. It really depends. Let me see about this question. Can I associate more than one translation memory for the same term in the glossary? More than one translation. Currently not. We are actually exploring that. We're probably going to have that in the near future. Was something that we're discussing, I think that last Friday. So we're exploring that option, but yeah, currently not, but we should have that pretty soon. Like having one source term and then multiple translation. Of course, we're probably going to have to add some sort of different metadata. So, okay, so I have a source term, then I have multiple translation, because if it is, I don't know, a noun, that would be the translation. If it's a verb, that would be the translation, right? So we don't like confuse the translators with which term should I be using for this context here. But yeah, we should have that pretty soon. It's currently under exploration internally. All right, so again, going back to what I was saying, there's no right order. In my preference is to always make sure that creating first the organization and organization units. So because then you are going to have to associate your translation memories and glossaries and users to the right organization and organization units. So in my agenda, I did not follow that order just because I already had the organization is created, but that's what I feel that would make more sense. So you create both translation, organization units, then you can create either the users and associate with the right org or org units, and then you create the right translation, create or uploads new terms to the translation memory and glossaries, and then make sure to associate with the right organization as well. All right, so now in terms of users, I can see the users by clicking on this button. So those are the users that I have. I can have some filters in here to find the users. Then I can click on this add user. One thing that's important, so when you subscribe to the account, you have to select the number of seats that are going to be available. So as I mentioned, the pricing, for instance, for up to 9 user would be 9 seats, would be $9 per month per user. So, and then you can, let's say that you have 5 people that work with you, you have to pay for 5 seats. That would be $45 in this example per month. And then if you have seats available, so in my example here, I'm using 15 seats out of 2,000 that are available. So I paid for 2,000 seats in this account. And I can update from here. So basically you can see how many seats you still have available, and then you can use them, create users accordingly to that. All right, let me create one user, demo, webinar number 3, webinar 3, WX.io. I will select one organization. Again, in my example, I'm keeping just one organization. I could have more than one. I don't need to fill out the other fields in here that don't have disaster risk in here, so they're not required. The only one that's required is this user role. Then really quickly, just to a quick recap on the user role, so you know which user should be creating. Vendor, it's a linguist. It has access only to the content that have been assigned to that user. So this user is not going to have access to the full project, to project costs and everything. project manager is the person that have most of the access, except general settings in the platform. This person is the one responsible for managing the projects. Client is usually used as a requester. So it's a person that's going to request a translation from someone. Let's say that, again, you have a client. So, and that person will probably be a client in the platform, client user. That person, that person could do is to basically upload file, request a code for you, then you're going to prepare a code, send for this person approval. This person is going to approve, and then you're going to start working on the content. So again, it's kind of a requester, this client role. And then finally, the account admin. Account admin has access to everything in this account that I created. So in my example, if I'm account admin in this BWX account, I have access to everything underneath. So I have access to organization and to all organizations and to all organizations. If I compare this with the project manager, for instance, if I add a project manager to an organization, but not to the other, this project manager will only have access to this organization where I added it to. That happens because when we, I mean, oversimplifying that, but basically the account admin will be registered at the account level. That's why this user will have full visibility and full access. The project manager will only have access to the organization and org unit level. That's why if I add a project manager to this organization in here, he will only have access to this organization and the organization underneath this one, and not to everything. All right, so those are the main difference. Based on that, you can select which option makes more sense. In my example, I'm going to create a project manager because probably I need some help from someone to manage the project. I will save this. You failed the creation for some reason. I will have a look, but basically when you create this account, you're going to be added to this list in here, and the user will receive an email. This user can, it's similar to when you create your own account. So the user is going to receive an email. With that mail, that person can set their password and then access the platform. All right. That's pretty much it in terms of what I was planning to cover today. But again, do you guys have any questions about any of those items in here, or anything that maybe is not exactly here, but it's kind of related to it that you have questions about? Please let me know. I'll be glad to answer those questions. All right, so if you guys don't have any particular questions, I have just a final request. If you have suggestions for the next webinars, the ones that I will be hosting that are more focusing on training in BWX, for instance, I want to learn more about this AI thing. I want to learn more about how to use the quality management module. I want to learn more about your editor. If you have anything that you would like to see in the coming webinars, please feel free to send the chat, and I'll do my best to prepare a session for you guys. In the meantime, we have the next webinar on May 18th with our CEO, Gabriel Ferma. He's going to talk more about ChatGPT. So this is not a training session. So it's a different kind of webinar. He's more focusing on open our minds and having some discussions and think about what's coming in the future for us with the technology, with the platform, with AI, with all these things. And so again, it will be on Thursday, May 18, 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can save your spot from this link here. That's going to be available for you after the session when I share with you this document. finally, you have a 14 days free trial, no credit card required to start your trial. But if you want to start to subscribe to the platform after and keep using it after the trial, I hope so. I hope you like it. Then you can add your credit card from the platform. Again, if you are interested, if you're not, after the 14 days, you're not going to have access to the platform anymore, but you're not going to be charged for the time that you use it. All right. Any final questions, comments? All right. I think you guys don't have any questions, so I probably was able to cover this well. I hope so. So again, I will share this with you, this recording, so you guys can watch, and please feel free to share this with anyone that may be interested. I truly appreciate you guys being here. So I hope to host several other webinars. And again, in the coming weeks, in the coming webinars, if you guys have suggestions for subjects that you would like to see, please feel free to let us know. I'll be happy to prepare specific webinars to cover specific subjects that the people want to hear about. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you, Hugo. And I hope to see you guys in the next few webinars that we're going to host in the coming weeks. Thank you so much. Take care.